I was no longer mourning the loss of my connection to the baby because now all I felt was anger. Maya had already destroyed my life, so to see her try to obliterate the little truth I had left made me impotently furious. What pained me the most was knowing that Maya was removing me from her life while constructing herself a false narrative and plastering the villainous role on me. This goes way beyond the baby and is now about my self-respect. This isn't just my dignity that is at stake. I cannot idly watch Maya circulate false information about me. It feels as if I need to justify my existence and my actions, which no one should be legally allowed to do. All it proves is just how badly I have been disrespected. To keep Maya comfortable and allow her to think she can steamroll me is an insult. It feels like sitting in a room filled with poisonous fumes without a mask on. I need to talk to Maya and state the facts that I have. Maya was doing a good job at ignoring me because every attempt I made to reach out only resulted in the same answer. Unlike her, I do not hide from confrontation and the world. I tried calling her only to have my calls end up to voicemail. I tried texting her, but never got a single reply. I even tried paying her a visit, but she didn't answer the door. It truly does feel like I have been scrubbed from existence. The fury within me began to bubble over. I had been respectful of her boundaries and went out of my way to even follow the set rules, and that is how she repaid me? By shutting the door in my face and painting false narratives behind my back? It was a full week before I received any sort of reply. As I was going back through everything one afternoon while at home, not that I want to, my phone dinged. It was Maya. I opened it, and my heart sank. Sarah, I don't think it's a good idea for us to meet anymore. You were the surrogate so for that I will be eternally grateful, but this is my family now. Please respect that. I'm sorry, but that is the way it has to be. I could not believe my eyes and shook with the rage that was almost uncontrollable. She has made her decision, effectively cutting me out of all her memories. That was such a selfless act on my part, and now the reality was that she was shutting me out as if I was a temporary obstacle in her life, much like those 9 months of her child that I carried for her. I tried to steady my mind by taking a deep breath. The situation was a matter that I found impossible to overlook. Maya's actions made it seem like I was the villain all along, and that is something I could not allow. She had already manipulated me far too much, and now she was willing to toss me aside as if I held no significance at all. Although I expected some form of rationale from her, it was clear that I had to put my foot down. That was not the way things were going to work out for me. With that clear in my mind, I finally decided that I was going to fight back. Standing up for myself was no longer an if. Rather, I was set out to do it. There was just far too much personal loss on my end. Allowing Maya to dictate who is in the child's life and who isn't without a struggle was just unacceptable. Oh, she would be sorely mistaken if she believed she could just brush aside my presence so simply. Not under my watch, that was for sure. That night, I couldn't sleep. Each time I closed my eyes, Maya and the baby were the first thoughts that came to mind. Her shutting the door in my face like an alleged obsessed monster to my mutual friends always bothered me. The betrayal was far too intense, as if I was gasping for air. Helplessness had started to gnaw at me far worse than the feeling of betrayal. I had no legal rights to the child, nor did I have any real standing in Maya's new life, something she made very clear. Everything I did was out of love and trust. I thought we would always remain friends, and that bond would endure, which is why I believed giving her the greatest gift imaginable was the right decision. In slashing the veil, she inwardly must have known that with every abuse, she carried my scars along. These very symbols of issues would later come to haunt me in a psychological nightmare. The more I dwelled on it, the more irritated I grew. There's no way she would be successful in attempting to erase me from existence. I would not let her varnish my words and paint her twisted reality, where I am simply the callous antagonist in a story where I was there trying to save the damsel in distress. There's morality, which I do not lack. I had nurtured that child for 9 months, and later brought him into the world. I distinctly have the right to take part in his life. I am not seeking to achieve silence and possessing the need of being understanding anymore. Maya had initiated this when she decided to blank me and told the entire world about how I wasn't a good person. Well, guess what? It's time for retaliation. I need to hire a legal counsel, reach put to a few of them, and book consultations. This was never my wish. I did not expect the situation to bloom to this magnitude where there is so much need of legal drilling, but it is the most logical step out of the rest that is available. Rachel, a family lawyer with a focus in surrogacy law, was available next week, so I made sure to schedule something with her. Rachel paid close attention as I recounted everything: the agreement, the pregnancy, Maya's frosty attitude after the childbirth, and the total silence since. I also filled her in on the speculation she was spreading that I had somehow gotten obsessive towards the infant. Once I was done, Rachel reclined in her seat, contemplating. "This is a unique set of problems, Sarah," she said in a calibrated tone. Surprisingly, the majority of surrogacy contracts are drafted in a manner that completely excludes surrogate mothers from having any child custody rights post-birth. I'm sure with everything that happened, you have grown attached to the child, and from a legal perspective, it is deeply problematic, but this minor belongs to Maya and her spouse. A ball of sickness churned in my stomach. I knew this going in, but hearing it from someone with expertise behind it made it sound final. So there's nothing I can do? I said, my voice shaky. Rachel took a moment. To answer your question about legal rights to the baby? Not particularly much. However, her expression turned serious as she leaned in. If Maya is lying about you in a way that can damage your reputation, that is a different issue. Defamation is something you could pursue if it affects you personally or professionally. I blinked, taken aback. So what you're saying is that I could sue her for lying? If you can prove that the claim she is making is false and that she is harming you, then yes, Rachel said. However, we would need some strong proof, like testimonies, messages, anything that shows she is purposely trying to malign your image. It's going to be difficult, but it can be done. It wasn't the outcome that I had wished for. I preferred the option where I am able to partake in the baby's life instead of chasing Maya around in court. But at the same time, she was not going to get away with it. If she felt like besmirching my reputation, I was not going to sit around and let her do that. We need to begin by collecting evidence, Rachel said as she pulled out her notepad. Do you have any messages from common friends which talk about what Maya is saying regarding you? I nodded, thinking of the Lauren and a couple of other texts I had received warning me about the rumors. Yes, I have some messages. Okay, Rachel said as she continued with taking her notes. We now need to start gathering everything. For now, please attempt to reach out to anyone who may be able to confirm your account. The more witnesses we have, the stronger your case will be. The meeting left me feeling very mixed, a sense of relief that I was finally taking an action, but at the same time frustration that it required such drastic measures. I did not want to sue Maya. I did not want to go to battle against the person who used to be my closest friend. But I similarly could not permit her to erase me out of her life and spread false narratives about who I am and what I did. The following weeks were filled with gathering evidence, speaking to acquaintances, and trying to connect each piece of information together regarding Maya and what she had been narrating. The rumors that were floating around were certainly worse than what was expected. She had painted me as someone who was unable to move on and would try to insert myself into their lives after being fixated on the child post-birth. Hearing her do such things was strangling, especially knowing that she had so easily twisted the narrative. Her motives seemed clear. She wanted to keep me out. All I had wished for was the opportunity to participate in the baby's life, something we had agreed on during the pregnancy. To be fair, I never made any unreasonable demands or crossed any boundaries. But Maya had spun lies to justify her actions, claiming I overstepped boundaries. I reached out to Lauren again along with several other mutual friends and told them what was happening and if they would be able to testify. Some hesitated and claimed they did not want to be involved in the matter, but the majority of them, including Lauren, were infuriated on my behalf and testified. It seemed to me that I was starting to regain some level of control over the situation. While Maya may have put me in a bad position, she was not going to change the narrative without repercussions. Although, just when it looked like I was able to handle the situation, there was an unexpected twist. One afternoon, I was at home going through documents with Rachel and suddenly I received a text from Maya. Need to talk. The reveal of the message left me breathless and astonished. So, after all this time, after weeks of pure silence and evading conversation, she suddenly wants to speak? I did not know if this made me feel suspicious or hopeful. When I revealed the message to Rachel, she frowned while analyzing it. This potential meeting with her puts you at risk. If she is at all aware of your intention to pursue legal options, she might attempt to have some sort of control. I nodded, my stomach in knots. But I felt like Maya was attempting to deceive me. Not after everything. But I felt like this could be one of the few opportunities to get closure. All right, I replied. Where and when? We met at the small cafe located outside the town. I was the first one to arrive and was feeling quite nervous. When Maya entered, she looked different than how I remembered her. In a way, she looked sick and stressed. The self-assured and indifferent lady who had blocked me off months ago now looked to be in a very vulnerable position. She occupied the seat in front of mine, and for a brief moment, we just looked at each other, the burden of everything that needed to be said yet hadn't, lying between us. So, I heard that you were planning to sue me. Is that correct? She said quietly at last. I didn't even try to excuse myself. You've put me in a sticky situation, Maya. You have been telling our mutual friends false information about me, and you completely removed me from the child's life, without any reasons given. Maya began to stare at her trembling hands. I didn't know what else to do, she said in a low voice. Jake, he did not want you to be involved at all. He believed it was too much for the baby to deal with, and it was best if we just moved on. Those words of hers impacted me like never before. Confusing for the baby? Maya, that child is far too young to be aware of anything. This is not about him. This is about you trying to erase everything I did for you. I carried your child for 9 months, and now, you are telling me that you promised to do what? Eliminate me. Her eyes watered, and she shook her head side to side. I know, I understand. I know what I promised. But after he was born, everything transformed. I never imagined that I would feel this way. I had no idea how to cope with it. And Jake, he was so adamant that we needed to have breaks. Boundaries. Feeling angry and pity at the same time, staring at her, was something I could never imagine. So you allow him to believe me and push me out? To tell malicious untruths on me? She wiped her eyes, indicating surrender. I did not want it to reach this scale. I thought it would be easier for everybody just to sever relations and cut ties. I am aware that I was wrong. Her apology was not too late. And while I could easily witness the remorse coursing through her eyes, anger surged within me as my brain struggled to comprehend if I would ever be able to forgive her. You did me wrong, Maya, I said, words trembling. You abused me, and afterwards discarded me like I did not hold any importance to you. I am sorry, she muttered. I am really so sorry. Without any conclusion, that conversation came to an end which definitely had no conclusion. Pain I had suffered through the weeks at her brutality would not just go away by a sorry. Yet, as unnatural as I thought her efforts to fix the broken remains of the damage earned would be, I wasn't certain. What happened between us was beyond trust, and so shattered it did not seem like it could be repaired. After leaving the cafe, a familiar feeling of emptiness washed over me. I had put in so much effort to get to this point. I fought for this fact, for my position in the baby's life. Now, it was like I was trying to question whether it was worth it. There was something that Maya did and would always prevail in the battle between us, regardless of the outcome. Even if I won, I would always have lost the more important asset, which happened to be my best friend.